Alright, so we're up to question 15. The total of some data was 132. The data was collected from 12 people. What is the mean? So mean is 132 divided by 12. The mean will be 11. So your total divided by the amount to give you your mean. Elise played 7 games of netball. She had a mean of 15 points per game. What was the total points she scored? Okay, so the mean was 15, and that's worked out by the total points, which is what we're trying to find, divided by how many games she played, which was 7. So the mean equals the total divided by how many games she played. So now we look at it and we say, well, how do we get rid of divide by 7 on this side? Okay, the opposite of divide is multiply. So we basically go 15 multiplied by 7. Okay, we times that by 7, so our answer will be 105 points. 105 points. So you can check that on your calculator by going, well, 105 is the total points Elise scored in her 7 games. That's the total, divided by the 7 games that she played. So we think 105 is the answer. Okay, divided by 7 gives us our 15. So that's checking, but we started with knowing 15 and we knew that the total was divided by 7. So to do the opposite and find the other side of that equation here, we had to multiply by 7. And that's how we get our 105. So it's like, what's the opposite of right is left. What's the opposite of divide is multiply. Okay, is a short way to think about it. We're on the right hand side of the equation and it says divided by 7. What's the opposite of right is left. What's the opposite of divide is multiply. So we multiplied by 7 to get our 105, and then we've checked it. Okay, this one I might flip over. The mean of 10 items was 40. An 11th score was added and it was 42. What's the new mean? Okay, so we know, so this is for question 17. Okay, question 17. We know the mean was 40, and that was worked out by the total divided by 10. Okay, because 10 items were collected, I guess, and we don't know the total. So this is the same thing. This is divided by 10 on the right hand side. The opposite of right is left. The opposite of divide is multiply. So multiply that by 10 to cancel it out. We know now that the total was 400. Okay, but that was the total for 10 items. So we have to add in that 11th item. That was 42. So we go 400 plus 42 is obviously 442. But now we're going to find a new mean by dividing it by 11 instead, because this was the total for 10 values. An 11th value was added, so therefore we have to divide by 11. So 442 divided by 11, I think it's going to be a decimal, but that's okay, is 40.18. So that's our new mean, which is pretty close to the other one, so we know we're correct. Okay, the mean was 42, but now the mean is 40.18 is the new mean, because we added in our 11th score. Alright, a couple of quick ones here. Recording how many vehicles people own is an example of. Okay, so this is back to really old definitions, but it has to be numerical data. Okay, if you're counting how many vehicles a group of people have, it has to be some sort of numerical data. So we can definitely cross out this one. Now discrete is where you count, whereas continuous is where you kind of measure with the measuring tape, for example. So we're counting, therefore it has to be option 1, and it's discrete numerical data, because discrete data is counted, okay, whereas continuous numerical data is more measured, like on scales or with a measuring tape. A group of 100 people were surveyed. These people were randomly selected. However, there were 80 men and 20 women surveyed. Is this biased? I would say yes. And why? Okay, because even though it was a random selection, there's a very strong gender bias happening there. Alright, how was the mean found? Alright, the mean is found by the sum of all values divided by the total number of values. Okay, so that would be something from your textbook or we've written down, but the mean is found by doing these things up here. Okay, the total of all the values added together, for example, divided by the number of values that you collected from the number of people you asked, for example. So the sum of all values divided by the total number of values is how you find your mean. Okay, the mode is the most common. So you might ask 100 people what their favourite movie is of all time, and the most common movie suggested is the mode average. Okay, 5 people's, what are we up to? 6:59, 7 minutes. 5 people's average running distances were these. Find the median. So the median is finding that middle value. Okay, so this is summing them and dividing them for the mean. The most common for the mode, and this is the median. The biggest mistake still with median is that people don't put it in order. So we've got 3 kilometers is the smallest, followed by 4, followed by 7, followed by 12, followed by 15. You have to rearrange these numbers into smallest to largest, and then you multiply, identify the middle point. So the median is 7. Okay, this one, back to index notation from term 4. Keep the base, which is m. When we're multiplying powers, keep the base, which is m. Add the powers, 3 plus 5 is 8. And multiply the coefficients, 4 times 2 is 8. Keep the base, add the powers, multiply the coefficients. So in this instance, we're going to keep the base when it's division, opposite to multiplying. So we're going to keep the base, but we're going to subtract the indices. 6 take away 4 is 2, and we're going to divide the coefficient. So 15 divided by 5 is 3. So keep the base, add the powers, multiply the coefficients. Keep the base, subtract the powers, divide the coefficients. When simplifying this expression to calculate the index, you must multiply the 2 and the 7. Well, no, because up here we've said keep the base, add the powers. So we would keep the r and add the powers, 2 plus 7. This question is true or false, so it's false. You do not multiply them. You keep the base and add the powers. Alright, simplifying this one. Okay, so we have multiplying and division here. BOMDAS tells us that they're of the same importance, so you work left to right. So we have this first. We have to keep the base, which is y, sorted. We add the powers to give us 6. 2 plus 4 is 6. And then 2 times 6 gives us 12. And now we're going to divide that by 3y3. So now we're going to keep the base, which is y. We're going to subtract the powers. 6 take away 3 gives me 3. and we're going to divide 12 divided by 3 to give me 4. So we did our first step, multiplied them by keep the base, add the powers, multiply the coefficients, and then we did the division as per the question. So kept the base, subtract the powers, and divide the coefficients. 10 minutes is up. I'll be back.